What's up, YouTube family? It's your boy CJ with the Centipede Grass channel. These temperatures are really warming up fast as we go into spring, and I see a lot of sprinklers coming on. Just want to go over a quick video on how to water your grass this year, especially if you have centipede grass, so that you're successful, you don't have a lot of fungus in your yard, and you end the year with a green, lush lawn. So unfortunately, when people call me out to their lawn, I see a lot more issues with people overwatering than underwatering. The consensus on watering grass is that turf needs 1 inch of water per week. Our temperatures have been averaging 75, even 79, 80 degrees, and it's been holding steady there for the most part. And I have yet to turn my sprinklers on. That's because I constantly check the weather, and I won't turn my sprinklers on unless I go 7 to 10 days with no rain. Now, I don't expect everybody to do this, but I definitely track the days that it rains and, how much rainfall we get. But that's because I have customers and I just want to be knowledgeable about what it's doing in our area and how often they need the water. But to that end, I do have a rain gauge that I ordered off of Amazon. I think this was like $8 or something like that. And I just stick that out in the yard and measure how much rain we get, how much rainfall. And normally, I get enough rainfall to equal 1 inch of water. And of course, if we get like 0.8 inches or something, I'm not turning the hose on for 15 minutes to make sure I get the rest of that inch. Grass is resilient and it doesn't need that much water. So even if I don't hit an exact inch or over 1 inch every week, some weeks I'll get over 1 inch, and eventually it's all going to average out. Now, if I go 7, 10 days with no water, I'll look back at the weather forecast. And if I don't see any rain in the forecast, I'll start to look at my grass to start noticing some signs that it needs water. So what are some signs that your lawn may need water? You notice like this ashiness color in the grass, or if you mow the lawn, the tire streaks seem kind of like white going through the green grass. If you walk on the grass and it's really crunchy. Also, if you're walking on the grass and you see like your footprints left in the grass, like it's sand or something, all of those are going to be signs that grass doesn't bounce back, you know what I mean, if it's not resilient. All of those are going to be signs that it's lacking moisture and that you may need to water your grass. When you do water grass, water deeply. Deeply and infrequently is how you want to water your grass. So you're going to have to know with your sprinklers, whether you have a sprinkler system or you have like a held hand unit, you're going to need to know how long it takes for you to put out 1 inch of water. Now, I wouldn't necessarily put that whole 1 inch of water out at one time. I would break it up into at least 2 watering sessions, but you need to know how long it takes you to put out 1 inch of water. So of course, you can use something like the water gauge that I had earlier, or you can use anything that you have measured to 1 inch of water, a tuna can, or even some kind of a glass vase. If you just put a tick mark on it where 1 inch is, turn your sprinklers on and see how long it takes for it to get to that point. So once you go 7, 10 days, no water, maybe you turn it on. And if it takes you an hour to get 1 inch, maybe you just turn it on for 30 minutes, put half 1 inch on it, and then look back at your weather report, see where you're going to get some rain. If you don't have rain coming in another 4 or 5 days, then put another inch, put the other half inch on it, water for another 30 minutes. But whatever you do, you want to be watering infrequently and deeply. That deep watering is going to train your roots to go down. If you water 15 minutes here, 15 minutes there every day, then your roots are just going to stay on the surface. It's going to be like a helicopter plant. If they can get water from the surface all the time, why go deep? And that's what shallow rooting is going to look like. Now, this right here is not from overwatering. It's from compaction. But even still, if you're noticing your roots on the surface like this and they're thin, actually this can come from a couple of issues. Compaction, too frequent watering, even grubs will give you something like this. But in this instance, like I said, it's compaction. But if you're noticing something like this, overwatering, watering too frequently and for short periods of time may be the culprit. Another issue that you may run into is fungus. You can see this circular patch right here. You can always tell the fungus because it's going to be a circular patch. You see it looks good here and then it gets here. Of course, I'm not overwatering, but my neighbor has a sprinkler about right there, and because the yard slopes down towards me, this is where the water gathers at. Now that's one of the unfortunate things about staying in the neighborhood, and I don't have any direct control over it, but they water the grass about 2-3 times a day, 5-10 minutes every time. And that water sits right there and you end up with a fungus issue. Now, if you continue to overwater and you develop fungus issues and you develop deep, shallow roots, that's just going to continue to overall decline. Your grass system as a whole will be weak. That'll invite insects in. Insects want to go for weak grass plants, not strong, vigorous yards. And you get into this whole overall decline, which if you have centipede grass is known as centipede decline. And once you're there, it's just a downward spiral for your overall yard. Now, if you take this advice, but you start to notice that your lawn is asking for water before you get to the 7 to 10 day mark, there may be other things going on that are keeping your lawn from being able to go that long without getting rain. One of those things could be you're cutting the grass too short. The grass doesn't have a good covering on it when it's very hot outside. You know, during those hot summer months, you should be keeping it towards the top end of the cutting range for centipede grass. That will be 3.5 inches or so. But you're cutting it too short, and that's getting the soil too hot too fast. You're basically cooking your roots, and that's causing you to have to water more frequently just to cool the ground off. Another issue could be that you have too much thatch, which is just that layer of dead roots and grass clippings and things that are between the top of your grass and the actual ground and the roots. If you have a thatch issue, then that water could be getting trapped right there in the thatch and not actually making it down to the root system. So, you know, the grass is not really getting water. And of course, if you have thatch issues, it's just a matter of time before you're going to run into a fungus, because you just have sitting water there. Like I showed you in my backyard, if you have a compaction issue and water's not able to penetrate through the ground, then it's just going to be sitting on the surface. And of course, you're going to have to water more often if your grass is compacted. Now, even if you are watering, if the yard is compacted enough, the roots are not going to be able to grow down, and your yard is going to decline no matter what. No matter how much you water, it's still going to decline. So a compaction issue could lead to your yard appearing that it needs water more frequently than 7 to 10 days. Another thing that's kind of going to be out of your control to an extent is if you just have very sandy soil. If you live close to a beach, or your soil is just sandy for whatever reason, or mostly sandy, sand is a lot more porous and water flows through it much more freely. So if you have a sandy soil, you may have to water more frequently. You may not make it to the 7-day mark, or especially the 10-day mark. Because like I said, that type of soil does not hold water as well as a clay soil or a loam soil or some kind of combination that is more loam, more clay than it is sand. Now, one way to fix that, and we preach it in plenty of videos, while you can't come and dump a bunch of clay or a bunch of loam on your soil, what you can do is add organic matter as often as possible in the form of humic acids or fulvic acids. You know, adding that organic, or even like compost, adding that organic matter to your soil, because organic matter holds water and nutrients at a much higher rate than even clay does. So if you don't have a large clay content in your soil, or a large loam content in your soil, or I guess it wouldn't be a loam, it would be silt. If you don't have those components to your soil, like I said, even though you can't dump a bunch of clay into your soil, you can add organic matter and increase the water retention abilities of your soil. So with all that being said, turn the sprinklers off. I haven't seen a reason, unless you're just incredibly hot where you are for some reason. I haven't had a reason yet to turn my sprinklers on. I think we have rain the next 2 days, and I'm expecting that to be enough to last me another 7 to 10 days without touching my sprinklers. So if you have an underlying issue, address that, but don't try to fix it or overcompensate with just continually watering your grass. And by the way, you're going to end up saving money anyway. Watering the grass often raises the water bill. So this is just going to keep a couple of bucks in your pocket anyway. So definitely take this advice not just for good grass practices, but for economic reasons. Definitely thank you for tuning in. Thank you to everybody that subscribed. I'm so appreciative. Thank you for all the comments. I've even gotten some emails lately, people sending me pictures of their yards, and that's just, sorry to geek out about it, but that's just fun for me. So keep the comments coming. Hope that I'm answering the questions in a way that's beneficial and helping you to actually put it into action and, you know, get a better lawn this year. Today, my intention was to aerate my lawn with you, put down grass seed, and put down a soil amendment that I like to put down every year just to get me going into the warmer months. But the weather didn't cooperate. We had a cold snap, which I knew we would kind of get around the Easter holiday. So I'm hoping that by the time I do the next video in 2 weeks, we'll be past Easter and we'll be able to do that together. So we'll keep the fingers crossed on that. But again, thank you to everybody who has watched this video. I appreciate the subscriptions. If you haven't subscribed yet, definitely consider clicking that button, click that like button so that this video gets to more people. And until next time, peace.